Hey dude, this is Jaden Strong Pension Team Shadow Strike. So this is going to be a deck profile, and I actually have 3 deck profiles total that I'm going to be doing for you guys. Please know that some of the deck profiles are later than usual for certain sets, and that's because I'm having to save up for me and my friend Christian Sam's trip to LA to compete in the tournament for nationals. So I've had to slow down a little bit, but I'm still going to be having other deck profiles coming. This one specifically is a Gear Chronicle deck profile update, and I'm also going to be bringing you a new Royal Paladin deck and my personal Aquaforce deck that's different from Sam's. But you're also going to be getting a Great Nature deck profile on me soon. I'm just missing a couple more things, and then I can finish that up. And you're also going to be seeing a Vermilion Crimson deck from me as well. Still missing a couple of cards from that I'm going to be taking, that hopefully I can get taken care of this week. No promises, but I want to get those decks done as soon as possible. But with also a lot of new stuff coming out on top of it, it's gonna kind of be hit and miss. But I'm gonna be doing the deck profiles as soon as I have the stuff, guys. So this specifically is Gear Chronicle. So with set 2, we saw new Gear Chronicle support, and it's better now. I almost decided to trade this away, but I'm glad I tried out the new stuff. It's still not my favorite deck to play, but I do admit that the deck now actually is... I don't know if calling it Tier 1 is, yet, but it at least has an argument to where it could be Tier 1 because of how much just rewinding ability it has. So, let's just get straight into this deck profile right here. So first off, let me get a drink. So, for the starting Vanguard, I have actually changed to, what's this thing's name? Brasswing Gearhawk. Now, this might seem, first off, you may not even know what this does, but his ability is Generation Break 1. Every single time anytime you rewind a unit, he gets plus 5k until the end of the turn. Now, you might be asking, okay, why aren't you playing Gunner Gear Draco Kid or Timepiece Draco Kid or the Grade 3 Searcher? Gunner Gear is great, but if you... I just don't like him that much because he takes a Counterblast, and I play 8 Grade 3s and 4 Steam Breath in this deck, so that's 12 ways to Stride, so I really don't see the point of playing Gunner Gear. Now, if you like playing him, then please continue. I just I'm just not a fan of that for that particular deck, for this deck particularly. And then for Timepiece, I went back to 8 Grade 3s, and even with 7 Grade 3s, I rarely ever had to use him to get a Grade 3. Grade 3s just seemed to show up, so I decided to try this. It was a new starter that came out in set 2, and I really do like it, because if you can just rewind 1 card, he becomes a 9k boost. If you rewind 2, he becomes 14, so he's just a bit, he's kind of like a Bruno, but not really. Kind of like a downgraded version of Gearwolf, the Grade 1 that gets 3k for every time you rewind. I just like it because it can just boost a column. So, I've been playing this, and in test playing, I really do like it. So, I encourage, if you would like to give it a try, I would definitely suggest that. It's pretty cool. So, trigger lineups. We play 4 copies of Steam Battler Dotazig. And then we play 4 of the new critical trigger, Heart Thump Worker. Now, they're getting all these new critical triggers that are coming out as a double rare, and I do like it because it's nice to see shiny triggers again. But, they all typically have the same effect. They work only with a specific type of Vanguard. You move it to the soul, you give plus 5k to the Vanguard, and you can draw a card. I like this with Chronojet because if you want to use Chronojet's Generation Break ability to basically just swing at your opponent, and if they have if you know they have perfect guards in their hands, I like this because you can do this, and it puts him at 21 by himself, and 21, if you don't happen to have a boost for him at that time, does more. It's a bigger number for your opponent to have to deal with when they're having to face a glory skill where they can't nullify it or throw out Grade 1s or higher, except for intercepting. I like it for that reason, but you know, I don't think these are necessary in all decks out there, but definitely for Gear Chronicle, I would max out on this. I really don't see the point of playing just 2. Now, if that's all you have, then yes, definitely play the ones you have. But I would definitely try and get 4 of these. And plus, these are, and also these are not worth a whole lot of money, so you can pick these up for pretty much nothing. I think these are like $2 a piece, if that. They're probably even $1 now, but. 8 crit, then we play our 4 Lucky Pot Draco Kid. This is our Margle, shove him in the soul, plus 3k anywhere you want to go. And then we play our 4 Steam Maiden Uluru for our heal triggers. So our trigger has not changed. Some people are test playing the new stand trigger, the cat that gives 10k somewhere. I just don't like that. I mean, it's a good effect. Don't get me wrong, but I would much rather just play the draw triggers. But if the stand triggers work for you, then by all means keep playing them. For grade 1s, I still play the 4 Steam Maiden Arlem or Sentinel. The Quintet Wall came out, and there are some people who I've seen that are play testing 1 Quintet. I don't see the point of that in this particular deck because, I mean, my build personally, and you'll see this once we get to the grade 2s, I I don't Legion in this deck barely at all, so I don't see the point of playing the Quintet. If your deck revolves more around Legion and you like playing the 2 Legions and you use them for more of your winning, I guess your winning image, if you want to say, then yeah, then the 1 Quintet Wall makes sense. I know some people are even trying the build where you just play both Legions and you say to hell with Chronojet, and that's fine too. But I like the Steam Maiden Arlems, and plus with as much counterblasting as you do in a Gear Chronicle deck, you need all the unflipping outlets you need, or that you can have. So for Arlem. Next, we still play our 4 Steam Breath Dragon. This is a no-brainer. It searches out Chronojet, which is what you want to ride as your grade 3 all the time. And we can ditch him to Stride, Stride is deadly important to this deck's success. It has to Stride. It needs to at least Stride, because that's where your aces are for this deck. Next, we play 3 copies of Steam Fighter Meshi. You can play 4 if you'd like. I have 4. I just don't like playing 4 because you have only a limited soul in this deck, so you have to be kind of selective and choosy with how you want to use what soul you have. So I think 3 is really all you need, and I see them plenty enough by playing 3. Because for the other 3 slots, I play 3 Summit Crest Gearwolf, which is like the Gear Chronicle Bruno. Each time you rewind a unit, he gets +3. So he can be turned into a 10k wherever you want him. So some people are playing 4 Meshi and only 2 Gearwolf, and that's still a good option. It really is, but I just like the extra Gearwolf. So because I like being able to have big columns, not just one huge column and a little column. So, but that's just me. Grade 2s, we still play the 4 Steam Fighter Amber because this is just one of the best cards Gear Chronicle has. Generation Break 1, whenever he's boosted, you may Counterblast 1 and rewind a grade 2 or less on your opponent's side. So you can it just gives you that spot rewind that you might be looking for, so you can you can rewind one of their key boosters, rewind one of their key rear guards. It just hurts your opponent, especially in the Aquaforce, however you want to pronounce it. It hurts in that matchup. It hurts in the Great Nature matchup. It hurts in the Royal Paladin matchup. It just can really, really hurt if your opponent is not playing conservatively, which if they're a smart player, when you play against Gear Chronicle, you want to play conservatively. But yeah, you still want to max out on this. Next, I play 3 Glimmer Breath Dragon. This is a new card from Set 2. His ability is Generation Break 1. When you have a Chronojet Vanguard, you may Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1 and rewind. I think he rewinds anything. Nope, same as Steam Fighter, grade 2 or less, and he gains 2,000 power until the end of turn, making him 11k. Just another card to rewind. That's what this deck specializes in, so we want to max out on our opportunities to abuse that. Next, we play 3 copies of Steam Maiden Ishin. This is basically Silent Tom in a way. whenever she's face up on the field and you rewind a unit, you may counterblast 1, and she gains the ability of whenever she attacks, your opponent cannot use grade 0s to guard her attack. And she's also equipped with the resist ability, so if you're in the Gear Chronicle match, mirror match, they can't rewind it. If you're playing against Kagero or Narukami, they can't bind it or blow it up. Pretty much the only way to kill her is to attack her, or if your opponent intercepts with her. And plus with the resist ability with Gear Chronicle, Gear Chronicle is good, but they need rear guards, and your opponent is going to target the hell out of these Steam Fighters because their ability can be used once a turn. Glimmer Breath is only once, so they're going to target this guy really hard. And keep in mind, Glimmer Breath only keeps his 2k boost for that turn, so after that he's just a 9k rear guard. But you know, they're going to attack this pretty fervently if they know if they're scared because of their damage, or they just don't want you to have it. So having it have resist limits your opponent's options. So if they're playing even something like Kagero, Narukami, or a Gear Chronicle mirror match that can get rid of problematic units like that, their only option that is left is to attack it. So. And then for the final grade 2 is I play 1 copy of Steam Knight Zhang, and that is because you're not going to Legion that much, and if I do, it's very rare this ends up, there's only 1 copy of it, so if it ends up in the soul, and because I have to ride it, it's easy to get it out. If it ends up in the damage zone, it's oh well, and if it's, as long as it's in the drop zone, I can Legion whenever I want. His ability is, will never be able to be used, but when this unit's attack hits a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is in Legion, you may pay the cost, which is Counterblast 1, and rewind to grade 2 or less. But he's literally in here just for the Legion. You know, but like I said, it's very rare you're going to Legion, so half the time he's just a grade 2 that you can sit out there for another attack. So. For grade 3s, we play 4 copies. There we go. Nixie Number Dragon. This is the new Legion that came in set 2. That Legions, I just had him. There he is. That Legions with this guy. Basically, when he's in Legion, if you rewind a unit, he gets they get a glory skill. So. If you rewind, your opponent cannot use a Sentinel to guard against this attack, and when he attacks, if there's another card in the center column with him, this unit gains plus 3k. So even if you aren't in Legion and you have a booster behind him, say Gear Wolf, and you attack for 18, he then gains an additional 3 because a card is in the center column with him, so he swings for 21. The reason I like this is because even if you are in Legion and you swing, he at least swings for 23 by himself without a boost. And if you do have a boost and you rewind and say it's Gear Wolf, you swing for 33 and your opponent cannot use a grade 1 to can't use grade 1s to guard it. So that means that takes away their option to nullify it, which makes it harder for them to guard, especially when you're hitting in the high 30s, which means they got to be holding on to a substantial amount of grade 0s. But, like I said, this rarely happens. I mean, I've done it, I think, twice total in all the playtesting I've done, because usually once you get on Chronojet, this guy literally just becomes a grade 3 rearguard or stride pitch fodder. So I do like this better than Disposal, because Disposal, after you Legion, he's just a vanilla Legion. At least this has a continuous effect that can help you. But to each his own. I mean, I know some people don't like this because it is situational and you have to rewind in order to get that skill, and other than that, it would just be a big column. But it's pretty much whatever you want to do. I prefer this, but if you prefer Disposal and the other Legion mate where you Soul Blast 2 to become a Silent Tom, then that's fine. But I almost decided to not play 3 of her, play 2 of her, and then 1 of the other Legion mate and 1 of this, but that just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me after I thought about it. But if you want to use Disposal Dragon, you definitely can. I just decided to go with this, and in playtesting it seems to be doing just fine. So now for the main boss monsters, we have our 4 Chronojet Dragon. So Chronojet, we know all about this guy. Generation Break 2. If when this unit attacks, he gains plus 5k, and he gets a glory skill, so your opponent can't use nullifications. They can't use a perfect guard or a quintet wall against him. And then when whenever you stride onto him, you may counterblast 1 and rewind anything on the field. But like I said, generally this is going to be the grade 3 that you always ride first, and you're just going to stay on him for the whole game. So for the other grade 3, you can play this Legion, you can play the other Legion, you can play Fate Wheel, any of the other Gear Chronicle grade 3s, but in my honest opinion, Nixie is the second best option. Next, for the G-Zone, we play... I finally was able to get a hold of one Lost Age. I had a Lost Age a long time ago, but it somehow grew legs and ran away. My friend Will was able to hook me up, and I was able to hook him up with something he needed for his Gear Chronicle deck. So thank you very much, Will, if you happen to be watching this. I'm glad to finally have a Lost Age finally that I know that I will not lose this time. But Lost Age, he's just your generic first stride. You're going to go into him and swing, and if he hits, you can rewind a unit. So next we play one Interdimensional Dragon, Fate Rider Dragon, a new grade 2, a new G unit from set 2. His ability is once per turn, you may select one of your rear guards and return it to your deck. I'll just read this. Choose one of your rear guards, put them on the bottom of your deck, search for up to one card that is a grade greater than that unit, call it to rear guard, shuffle your deck, choose one of your units, and for each face-up G unit you have, they receive plus 3k. Basically what it means is if you return a grade 1, use Superior Call a grade 2, you return a grade 2, Superior Call a grade 3, and then for every card face up in your G-Zone, you can select one unit on your board. It doesn't have to be the unit you bring out with Fate Rider's ability, but you can select any rear guard, and they get 3k for every card you have face up in your G-Zone. So you can turn... What I like doing is returning a grade 1 and calling her out and juicing her up really high, so that way if they've nullified Fate Rider's attack, I have basically a Silent Tom here that they're going to have another perfect guard for. So I only play one Fate Rider because I then play 2 Chronos Command Dragons, and this is the debate that Gear Chronicle players are facing. Some people play 2 Fate Rider and only 1 Chronos Command. I only play 1 Fate Rider for a lot of reasons. 1, this is the only Fate Rider that I have. 2, I don't think you need 2 Fate Rider. I really don't, and I'll get because you. Well, okay, I'll just go ahead and finish this, and then obviously I play the 4 Interdimensional Dragon, Ragnarok Dragon. Basically, when he attacks, you may counterblast 1, Persona Flip, and if you have 2 cards face up in the G-Zone, he gains +1 critical, and you can't use grade 0s to guard his attack. So the reason I only play 1 Fate Rider, because I only have 1, and because generally you're going to go to Lost Age first, then you're going to try and Ragnarok them, and if that first Ragnarok just doesn't kill them, your chances are you're going to go right back to Ragnarok anyway to finish it. And if you don't, then you can go to Fate Rider, and at least one unit will gain plus 3k. But if you go to that second Ragnarok and they still don't die, that Fate Rider will kill them. And if it doesn't, then they're hitting heal triggers, or they just have, the best luck ever. But the reason you don't need 2 Fate Rider is because your opponent isn't going to last that long with you Lost Aging them, you Ragnarocking them, you possibly using the Glory skill from Chronojet. There's just too much for them to live through that you're going to need it. And the reason I like 2 Chronos commands is advantage decks that are out there are just too reliant on their field, and if you catch them in a bad spot and they have a small hand, you can go to Chronos Command and just immediately hurt them. If you're playing Aqua Force, if you're playing Great Nature, if you're playing Royal Paladin, decks that swarm, you can spring this on them, and if they're not holding a perfect guard, they're fucked. If you get Chronos Command off, chances are you win the game because they just can't recover from the big minus that you give them. So I literally just have the Chronos commands in here because I like them. And also, sometimes by playing 2 Chronos commands, you can kind of mess with your opponent. If you go to Chronos command first and you try to get through, and lo and behold, they have a perfect guard. Let's say next turn when they do their drive checks, they don't drive when they drive check their next turn. Say they don't drive check a perfect guard and they still have a small hand. Well, what are the chances they have it a second time? So that's just my reason behind it. But if you really like playing the second Fate Rider and it makes sense to you, then I encourage you to do that. But that's my reason behind it, because I just don't see your opponent, because generally I'm going to go Lost Age, Ragnarok, and if they're still alive, then go to Fate Rider. You know, and generally your opponent isn't going to survive 2 Ragnaroks, you know, unless they really, really play smart and guard early, you know, because the secret to beating Gear Chronicle is guard early, because you want to be able to at least take 1 Ragnarok. Unless you're holding on to perfects, then don't tank Ragnarok at all. But it's all just a matter of preference, and this is just the best way that I view it. If you like the 2 Fate Rider, then I encourage you to do that. There are some people I've heard that are even cutting Chronos Command completely. I don't agree with that. I still think Chronos Command is at least a one of. So even if you want to cut 1 Chronos Command and go to a second Fate Rider and only play 1 Chronos Command, that's still a good option. But you still, I still don't cut Chronos Command altogether. So that's just my opinion. So anyway, guys, that is my Gear Chronicle deck profile. I'm still enjoying messing around with it. I definitely, this set 2 really gave it a lot of support that it needed. It's now a lot more consistent, but it's not one of my favorite decks to play, but it is fun. I mean, it probably is never going to crack my top 5 clan list, but it is fun to play. It is enjoyable, so this is the best build that I can build from it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, so in the comment section below, please leave your feedback and questions and responses or suggestions if you have any. I always like to hear from you guys, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up this video for me, and I'll see you next time.